Hey guys, Bumping Game back today, bringing our video, and today we're covering all weapons in Arena Breakout Infinite's early access launch here on PC. So we'll go through all the weapons. I have some nice designs of my own for the majority of them that we'll go through, but it'll be the weapons, their real life counterparts, what they really are, and some information based on them. Here you can see my really nice DSA 58 build, which is based on the FAL. So this was my favorite gun to use in the beta, and still probably maybe my favorite or second favorite here in the early access launch. So let's go ahead and jump away here. Go to our workbench. Start off with the assault rifle. So first off, we have the AKM. This is the next iteration of the AK-47, AKM, meaning Automatic Kalashnikov modernized. So you can see it went from a milled receiver to a stamped receiver. You can tell that here based on the lower receiver being stamped metal instead of milled. It is chambered in 72 by 39 millimeter Soviet round. You can see here on the side 600 rounds per minute. And this, I believe, was put into service in early 50s, I want to say, was the AKM variant that you see here. So, really nice gun. You have a nice RK1 or RK0 charging handle on all the AKs at base, which looks a little weird on this gun, not just having it as an option. Some cool design here. We have a nice, more modernized AKM. Just showing you what you can do with some of the attachments. I also have a really cool 103 build here. So that's the difference you can do with these weapons with this, is just the basic old AKM with a stamped receiver up to something like a 103 build. So really nice. Really love the AK, all the AKs here. Moving on, we have the M4A1. So the M4A1 is obviously the U.S. military's standard issue weapon. Up until recently with the NGSW program, this is supposed to be replaced, but we'll see how that goes. So obviously this is chambered in 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO. You have the classic M4A1 design here with the carrying handle, the classic handguard, buttstock, all of that. So really nice looking gun here. Again, 800 rounds per minute. Firing power is high, so this is a great gun. You can see by hovering over the previous weapon, you can see how it compares obviously here. Which is cool. So some nice builds here. We have the base M4, then a more modernized looking Mark 18 CQBR. So you can see the difference there with that. Just a really great looking design there. You can do a lot of different variants of the M4 here in this game also, which I'll do in a separate video. Next up, the FAL. So again, this is the basically the freedom weapon, the right arm of the West, or whatever it's nicknamed, but it's a battle rifle chambered in 72 by 51 millimeter NATO. We have a base 20 round magazine, 630 rounds per minute, semi and fully automatic. Just a great looking gun here. This is again one of my favorites. Now you can see the DSA 58 OSW build that we took a look at here in the beginning of the video. So they did make some changes, I think, from the beta to this. Unfortunately, we still have the carrying handle on this, but I wouldn't expect them to remove that. That's more nitpicking. But the barrel and the handguard, for whatever reason, maybe it's just me and I haven't played it since the beta, but it looks cleaner. I don't know what it is, but let me know what you think. But that's a DSA 58 or a Daniel Slavago armament, DSA 58 OSW, standing for Operational Specialist Weapon. So let me know your thoughts on that. Very good, awesome CQB battle rifle. Next up, the AK-102. So the 100 series. This is so you can see here, visually, it's going to be the exact same as the AK-105 and the 104. The only difference is the caliber that it takes. You can tell that by the magazine. You can see the curvature of the AK-74 or the next one here, the AK-74U. You can see how it's a little bit more curved. Then you have a more of a straighter, less curve here with the 102, and then like something like the AKM, you have a very obviously curved. That's how you can really tell the difference. The 5.56 variants of the AK platform have more of the straightest type magazine. Obviously, it's still tilted and slightly curved, but it's straighter than what you would see in the 545 versions or the 7.62 by 39 versions. So again, this chambered in 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO. The 100 and 102 here. This 102 has a 12.5 inch barrel. This was made for export along with the 101. 600 rounds per minute, classic AK, semi and full. Again, you can see it has the RK0 or the RK1 charging handle there from Zeneco. And then what you can do with this, we have a nice kind of a basic 102 and then a really nice Zeneco 102 here, looking really clean. Also with that tap, I believe it's a Magpul or a Tapco handguard on there I have. But super clean looking, again, 102. I'm really glad they put this in the game. You really don't see a lot of 5.56 AKs in games outside of Tarkov, so I'm surprised but not surprised they have this here. So great to see that. Next up, the AK-74N. So this is the nicknamed the Poison Dart or the Poison Bullet. I think it was nicknamed in the 70s when this thing, 74, when this thing saw service in the Afghan War. But it is chambered at 5.45 by 39 millimeter, again 600 rounds per minute, and the 5.45 by 39 millimeter is the cartridge that came out to kind of combat the 5.56 cartridge that the West was using. It's kind of a smaller caliber compared to the 7.62 by 39 Soviet round. So this is a 5.45 by 39 Soviet round, semi and full 600 rounds per minute. And again, you can see some improvements here, obviously with the polymer handguard. You can easily make this an AK-74MN also. If they give you the right buttstock, I'd have to look at it. But you can see here the difference in the 90-degree gas block. You can see that also with the 102. But the AKM, you have a 45-degree gas block, whereas here you have a 90-degree gas block. And the N in 74N means you still have this dovetail mount on the right-hand side of the weapon. And you also can see here with the AKM and the AK-74, you have a rib dust cover as well. So nice little conversion here. The AK, more of a modernized AK-74N, looking really clean as well. You can make a lot of different versions of this, make it look super clean. But that's my favorite handguard too. Just a really great handguard. I can't remember what the name of that handguard is outright in real life, but I think it's a Vieltor handguard. Really clean looking handguard. Now next up, the AKS-74U. Again, this is chambered in 5.5 by 39 millimeter. This was basically made for tank crews and helicopter crews. It has an 8.5 inch, I believe it is, or a 9-inch barrel. So it's a compact version of the AK-74. It was ultimately replaced by the AK-105, which is the 5.45 variant here of the 102. So the AKS-74U, the skeletonized stock there, 8.5 or 9-inch barrel, again firing 5.45 by 39 millimeter. They got the front sight post and everything like that correct. And again, you have the RK1 Zeneco charging handle on there. See what it looks like a little bit modernized. The AKS-74U with kind of a Zeneco buttstock, 100 series grip, 60 round mag, RK0 foregrip there, and we have a Cobra optic. So super clean looking. Looks really nice. So I love the conversions, kind of how you can change these weapons outright. Next up, we have the Belgian F2000. Again, firing in 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO with a staggering 850 rounds per minute of fire rate. So this is the fastest rate of fire so far for the assault rifles. And at base, you have a 50 round magazine. This thing, I had a lot of fun with this in the beta, actually. This was my second favorite gun in the beta. And here's kind of the more modernized-ish build that I was using in the beta. Very similar. Looks really clean. F2000, always been a big fan of this gun. I think it was unfortunately too far ahead of its time in the early 2000s when it was debuted. But you actually see this in service, or being used, I should say, in the Ukraine-Russian war right now, which is pretty crazy. So next up, AR-57. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an AR-15 design. However, it's converted to take 5.7 by 28, which you can see there, the magazine here. It's the same cartridge and magazine that the P90 takes, which we'll get into that later. So the AR-57, it's a cool gun. I don't like it. I think it's really ugly. You can make it look cool in real life. Here in the game, you're kind of stuck. You can't really do too much with it, so that's kind of the best I could do with it. But the AR-57, one of the new weapons from the beta, so that's good to see. Next up, we have the Ace-31. Again, this is an Israeli assault rifle. This is chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter Soviet, the same magazine there from the AKM. Now, the Israelis basically made this ACE, it's an updated version of the Galil essentially, but the ACE pattern weapons chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter were basically made to export as a modernized AKM to countries of the former Soviet Union, so they could reuse all the ammo they had and their magazines in this newly updated weapon. So think of it as a modernized AK pattern weapon is really the idea of it. It was mainly made for export. Here's a nice tacked out version of it here. So just a great looking gun, the ACE 31. You can make a couple different variants of the weapon as well. Next up, the AEK 762 or the AEK 972. I can't remember what the numerical value on this one is, because again, this is chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter. So it is not an AEK 971, because the 971 is chambered in 5.45 by 39. So I think this is just the AEK 762, I believe, or it's a 972. Again, I can't remember the numerical value at the end of it, but it is 7.62 by 39 Soviet. You can see again the standard AKM pattern magazine there. 800 rounds per minute here. This thing does have not quite a counterbalance recoil like the AK-107 series, but it does have something similar to that to help with the recoil pattern. So here you can see a nice AEK 762 updated version here. You can see how you can modernize it with the polymer magazine, grips, handguards. So that looks pretty clean. This thing actually, I'm surprised they didn't do a A545, because the A545 is the new version of the AEK 971, which is in service in Russia now, that was adopted along with the AK-12. So I'm surprised they didn't put that in the game. They went with the AEK design, which is the older predecessor to the A545. Next up, another new weapon here. We have the Scar Light, or the Mark 16, chambered in 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO. Again, you have a 600, or excuse me, here you have a 500 round per minute rate of fire. Nice and slow, very accurate because of the slow rate of fire. This is a Belgian assault rifle. Look at this couple nice builds I have here. You get an extended handguard, which looks beautiful there. And here's another one for you that looks also very, very clean. So the Mark 16 or the Scar Light. Great to see that in game. I definitely want to see the Scar Heavy or the Mark 17 make an appearance down the road. Next, we have the Type 95. This is a Chinese assault rifle chambered in 5.8 by 42. Never been a fan of the Chinese ARs. I just think a lot of them are really, really ugly. This one included. But again, you have a 650 round per minute with this. Here's a nice modernized looking build here. So you could do a lot with it and make it look pretty nice. Although, not a gun I like, nor will I use. Next up, submachine guns here. We have the MP5. So again, this is a submachine gun shipping a 9x19 Parabellum with an 800 round per minute rate of fire from H&K, or the German Heckler & Koch, the German weapon manufacturer. Here's a nice MP5A3 with a suppressor very similar to the one you used in the OG Modern Warfare 3 and one of those really cool night raids by the SAS, one of those missions. I don't remember which one it was, but one of my favorite missions of all time. Again, that's OG, the original Modern Warfare 3. Next up, the Sig Sauer MPX. Again, she have a 9x19 Parabellum. Here you have an 850 round per minute rate of fire. In real life, this can be chambered in other calibers as well, which is pretty cool. So it's a great looking weapon here. Here's a nice little modernized SD design with that integral suppressor on this. So super clean looking gun. Again, the MPX by Sig Sauer. Next up, the P90 from the Belgian, from the FN, Belgian company FN. Here again, you'll see it's chambered in the 5.7 by 28, the same magazine we saw in the AR-57. So this is a great SMG. PDW really is what it should be classified as. 1,000 rounds per minute here in game, which is great. And here's a nice little carbine variant of the P90 that you can make here in the game as well. Next up, the Uzi. Uzi, not much to say about this. Again, it's an Israeli submachine gun. Probably one of the most notorious submachine guns out there, right behind or next to the MP5. 750 rounds per minute. Again, another 9x19 Parabellum. Here's a nice, clean, modern-ish design for it as well. UMP-45, again by Heckler & Koch, again, H&K, out of Germany. So this is chambered in 45 ACP with a 600 rounds per minute. One of my favorite guns of all time. Unfortunately, you don't have a lot of attachment options for this. You can see, like with a larger magazine, it's fatter for some reason, or it's shorter. So that I think there's still some issues with this. They didn't add many additions to this. No handguards. You can't do any lasers, anything like that. So it's a weird gun here in game. I don't love what they did with the handguard either, but. UMP-45, good to have it in the game regardless. Next up, the MAC-10. I believe this is another new weapon from the beta. I don't like the MAC-10. Definitely PTSD to OG Warzone, but 745 rounds per minute, 45 ACP this one's chambered in. And here's a nice looking conversion-ish, or a variant for it. Still an ugly, horrendously disgusting looking gun, but it'll be pretty cool in game, I'm sure. Next up, you have the grease gun, or the the M3A one here in game. So again, this is a grease gun from World War II. 450 rounds per minute. Again, 45 ACP. Pretty ugly. Nothing really to look at there. I didn't make any variants of that. Next up, the MP40. So the classic German rifle. This one's chambered in 9x19. 500 rounds per minute. Again, I don't love that they have these older submachine guns here. I think there is opportunity for more modernized stuff. But it's still good to have some classics in the game. However, the MPF-45 is one that I definitely do not like. I'm not sure specifically what this one is based off of. Maybe an M2 SMG, I suppose, but it's pretty ugly. This one's chambered with 45 ACP, 700 rounds per minute. And then you have the T85 here, which I don't really know what this is based off of, if it is called in real life a T85, but appears to be Russian based on the 7.62x25 millimeter, 780 rounds per minute. Again, a really old, ugly gun that you're really going to find scabs with this thing for sure. Next up, moving on to marksman rifles, we have the SVDS. This is a Russian DMR chambered in 7.62x54 millimeter R, the same as the PKM. This is a modernized SVD. Here's a nice tacked out version of this here. So great looking gun. Again, semi-automatic, but it fires a heavy caliber with that 7.62x45R. So great looking gun here. Glad to have that in the game. Next up, we have the VSS Ventures, chambered in subsonic 9x39 millimeter. Now, this is capable of semi and fully automatic rates of fire, up to 850 rounds per minute. This is a big cartridge. The 9x39 is a big boy. Great for penetration, however, it is slow traveling because it is subsonic and heavy round. Here's a nice VSS-M build, a modernized VSS of this, with a 20-round magazine on this. So super clean looking gun. Really glad to have this in the game with the attachments that they added from the beta. Another new weapon here is the M110, or the SR-25 from Knight's Armament Company. Now, the M110 is a great gun here, chambered in 7.62x51 millimeter NATO. Semi-automatic, so 350 rounds per minute. However, in real life, it is capable of fully automatic as well. Great looking gun here. However, you can't really build it to how I would want to build it. So hopefully they add some additional attachments to it. But here's kind of a good looking build. You have the right suppressor, kind of, but you can't. It's not as long, and I don't think you can attach it on shorter barrels unless I just didn't find the right combination yet. But here's the M110. Great looking gun. Again, great DMR. Let's go to bolt action rifles here. So we have the Mosin. Mosin's a classic 7.62x54 millimeter R. This is a Russian bolt action rifle. Here's a modernized Mosin, looking super clean. The SJ-16. Now this is supposed to be a Remington 700 essentially, chambered in 338 Lapua Magnum. Bolt action. Here's a nice modernized R700, or the SJ-16. Next up, the M24 classic American bolt action sniper rifle. Again, 7.62x51 millimeter, and here's a nice modernized version of that. So looking really clean. Next up, light machine guns. You have the AK-12 platform light machine gun, being the RPK-16, chambered in 5.45 by 39 millimeters, same as the AK-74 and the AKS-74U here in game. You have the RK-1 charging handle, and here's a nice looking RPK-16 in the game, looking really clean as well. So that's a nice tacked out version of it here. Next up, for shotguns, you have the M870, you have the MP133, the Saiga 12 with a nice looking version here. This is a Soviet shotgun here, semi-automatic. Then you have the SPR 310, which hideous weapon, but it is what it is. It's probably going to be super effective in game as the shotguns were in the beta. Next up, carbines, you have the Russian SA-85M. You can really tack this thing out and make it look like an AK, modernized AKM platform weapon. However, this one is only in semi-automatic, firing 72 by 39 millimeter. You have the SKS, which was the predecessor to the AK-47, or the AKM is the Russian standard rifle, chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter. You can make this nice and modernized also, which I didn't have a version of it here to show you, but we'll cover that later. Mark 14, or the M14 here, chambered in 7.62 by 51 millimeter. Only in semi-automatic here. I'm a little bummed they didn't allow you to go fully automatic with this, but it is a super nice gun, and here it is with the Archangel chassis on there, looking super clean. I just wish they let us go full auto with this. Would have been really nice. Next up, the Mini 14, chambered in 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO. Again, I don't like this gun. I don't like how it looks, but it's still a cool gun, chambered in 5.56 NATO. Next, you have the BM-59, chambered in 7.62 by 51. Again, another ugly gun, only in semi-automatic. Moving on to the pistols. Oh, wait. We got one more to cover. The M16. So this is a new gun here in the early access, the M16A1 you have here, which is pretty crazy. So 650 rounds per minute. It's available in 3-round burst or a semi. Again, this is an American rifle, firing 5.6 by 45 millimeter NATO. And here is a nice kind of a Mark 12 SPR version of the rifle that I made here in game as well. So you can do a lot of customization with this thing. Also, I would like to see some new attachments that are unique to the M16 versus the M4, however. Next up for pistols, you have the Beretta M9A3, chambered in 9x19. You have the Glock 18C, chambered in 9x19, also available in semi and fully automatic at 1,000 rounds per minute. I think I have a nice build here. Glock 18C, so there it is. That 33 round stick mag. Desert Eagle, chambered in 44 ACP. You have the Type 54, chambered in 7.62 by 25 Russian. The M1911, classic American Colt, chambered in 45 ACP. You have the MP9, which is just a hideous looking gun. Golden Desert Eagle. Then you have the T05, which is based off of the Smith & Wesson Detective Special, 9x19, and you have the CZ52 in 7.62 by 25. And those are all of our weapons here in the game. Let me know your thoughts down below, what your favorite gun is here in the game, some of these really nice conversions that you can do. Let me know what your favorite is down below. Till next time, this is Buffner Game with all weapons here in Arena Breakout Infinite's PC Early Access. Till next time, this is Buffner Gaming, out.